This podcast is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional, medical, or any other type of advice. As a listener, you must use your own judgment and interpretation when applying the content of this podcast. Hey, welcome everyone to Boldly Authentic with Cynthia Fontaine. I am Cynthia Fontaine and I am so thrilled that you are here with me today. I'm actually doubly thrilled because I have superstar Jeanne Bundy in the house. She is an international best-selling author, an artist, an oracle and tarot card expert. She is just an overall incredible human being. And she's my dear friend and longtime student. She's graduated and come back for master class, which I didn't even know I was teaching. She's been an inspiration in my life because she pushes me in my work to continue to learn and to get better so that I can keep just one step ahead of her. And literally, I am just one step ahead of her. But in so many other ways, she is steps ahead of me. And the areas where I feel that she's far ahead of me in steps is in the world of angels. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about spirit guides and that whole sort of realm of angels and beings on the other side. So, Jeanne, welcome to the show. So happy that you're here.
Oh, thank you, Cynthia. It's such a pleasure to be here and be able to share all the different aspects of what life's all about. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, connecting with your listeners and understanding a lot of different things that are going on in the world. Sounds good.
Great. Well, I'm really happy that you're here. I want the listeners to know a little bit about who you are, what your background is. Now, you were a hairdresser for many years and also an instructor teaching adults how to do hair. So you worked with a lot of people over the years, but didn't do the work of angel realm or esoteric realm. How did you make the shift from hairdressing into getting into the world of spirit or spirituality?
It's very interesting, Cynthia. If you had asked me this question, about 3 years ago before my husband passed away and my mom, I would have had a completely different answer. How it happened for me was I didn't realize that all those years that I was talking to people, helping them with their issues, their problems, as I, did their hair, made them look pretty, made them feel good about themselves. That was part of my purpose. That was part of who I was, who I am. And so I was giving readings to people that I didn't even know I was doing it because I was just allowing, the information to come through, not knowing that I was, getting it from someplace else, thinking my brain was doing it, and allowing myself to help others. And so things have changed. Life is different. I became an artist. I retired from hairdressing. And so I started a whole new life, a whole new way of being. When fate brings you things that you have to look at and you have to be in and you have to surrender to what is. And that was a very interesting blessing for me to learn. And so with my first book, Beyond Goodbye, Living in the Experience of Grief, it was written during the pandemic. And I had a lot of time to understand the emotions that were going on within myself. And I found that I needed to allow myself to bring that forward, to allow people to see that these emotions, affect how we react to things and how we have to surrender to what actually is in front of you in the present moment. And so that was my first book. The second book was written with Unite Faith, and it's Trusting in My Faith. And if you read the first book first, it's on Amazon. The second book is like the conclusion chapter. And I knew there was a chapter that needed to conclude the whole thing with me with grief, right? And because grief never goes away. It's something we always live with and we experience and we learn to move with it. Some days are wonderful for me. Some days are very hard to this day. And so that's why I wanted to write the book so that people will understand it's okay. So That was one of the reasons why I wrote the book.
Yeah, and it's really a beautiful book, and it's so helpful. I've given it out to so many clients because it's hard for people to feel like there are people, others that understand what they're going through when they are in such deep grief, when they have the loss of someone close to them. As you did, losing both your mom and your husband within 8 months apart. And you were married for, was it 43 years?
Yeah, 43 years at the time, yes.
Yeah. And
it was a long time.
Yeah, and and it was a good marriage. It was a marriage where you actually still liked your husband 43 years later. Where
that's hard to say sometimes, but yes, it is. It's absolutely true. We had a wonderful relationship, and even with my mom, we had a wonderful relationship. So
right.
I was fortunate and I'm blessed in the sense that I had such good relationships with both of them. Yeah. And so that was my gift that I got.
Yes. Yeah. And, of course I knew Will personally, and he was quite the character.
Yes. Yes. When my husband Will walked into a room, you knew he arrived.
Yeah. That's for sure. And it's interesting because, he will pop up occasionally with the two of us, and sometimes he'll just pop up. And that's one of the things that I love about being able to do mediumship, which you also do some mediumship,
yes.
Is that as having the capability of tuning in as a medium, we know that even though we don't have the physicality of our loved ones here, that our loved ones don't just disappear and become non-existent. They're still around. And I know your mom lets you know every morning that she's
yes.
around. And can you share a little bit about that? Because it sort of relates to your relationship with her when she was physically on the planet. And how did that sort of continue?
Well, actually, my mom was a hairdresser as well for
mm-hmm.
many, many years. And my mom loved coffee. Oh,
mm-hmm.
Even on her deathbed, that's what she wanted, was a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had said to me, just remember me when you drink a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So every morning when I put my little coffee pot on, and I have a salt flat that's in the kitchen, and I glance over at it because it's near the window, whatever. And I kept seeing it flashing one day, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Maybe the bulb is loose. Because, you always have to check the material world to make sure there's not, something physically isn't going on, right?
Yes.
Before you go into the spiritual part of it. And so I checked the bulb, I changed the bulb, I tightened the bulb. Nope, every morning, as soon as I put my coffee pot on, the light would flash. And I'm like, that's my mother. Oh, Jenny, I'm so happy you're here for coffee. And so, when she's excited, she kind of tries to give me like something good's going to happen, or something like the kids are coming unexpectedly or something like that. The light flashes and flashes and flashes it, And so I'm like, oh, today's just a normal day, huh? Just nothing going on, just hanging out. So, so that's how we talk to each other in the morning. I talk to her and she listens. So like it usually used to be. So.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that because it was part of your routine every morning to talk to her when you had coffee.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. And sort of that has continued in a little bit of a different way. So yes. I really love that story. And I know I was at your house recently and that salt lamp just was going crazy flashing and we knew Jenny was around. And so, there are ways that our loved ones will show us that they're around, they're with us. But, people look for the billboards when it's not the billboards. It's the one particular light that flashes, when certain things are going on. Like my brother he had one light in my kitchen that he would flash and one light on the second floor that he would flash. So I knew that those lights would flash. The other thing was interesting. When he passed away, I had this clock that one of my neighbors that I used to live across from did woodworking, custom made for me. And that clock hadn't worked in 10 years. I had changed the batteries in it. That clock sat on my desk for 10 years, and the same battery was still in there for 10 years, had not worked in 10 years. And when I came home from the hospital after I had to, be there for my brother, that clock was working. And that clock worked for 6 months. And I heard my guides say that clock is going to work until your brother, moves on or goes anyway. So that clock worked for 6 months. And then one day, and it was interesting, he came to me one day and said, he came back every single day for 6 months. And I feel really fortunate to be able to talk to the spirit world. And he came back one day at about the 6 month part and said, you're not going to be seeing me so much anymore. He knew at that point I was okay. And that day the clock stopped working, and that clock has never worked again. And that was almost 10 years ago. So they'll show us ways, but we often miss them because that's a little bit less subtle, but like the flashing lights are, can be subtle, but you have to eliminate the possibility that it is a mechanical thing, Yeah. But anyway, so that's, I really love that your mom plays with that salt lamp and that she was playing with it the other day. But, so thanks so much for sharing that. And I want to sort of lean into from there where we move into, we have the spirit world and we have our loved ones that everybody has the ability to communicate with your loved ones. It's really learning how to tune in to the spirit world. But there's a whole nother level to the spirit world that, many people actually believe in. I think the last time I looked, something like 94% of Americans believed in angels. And, worldwide, the percentage of people believing in angels is very high. And I know that you have a very strong connection to the angels, to the world of spirit, and particularly to the angelic realm and to the world of angels. And I'd like to go into that and talk about that a little bit, because I grew up with a really strong faith, and I feel very fortunate to have had that background, because my grandmother, even though she also did this work, she didn't teach me how to learn how to tune into the psychic messages or anything. What she gave me was the gift of faith. It was the gift of believing in something bigger, greater than me, so that when things were difficult, I had the ability to lean on, the world of spirit. And for me, it was the saints, some angels, but, being brought up in the Catholic religion, it was, a strong connection to the saints and to the Blessed Mother and things like that. And one thing that I have become to understand is that saints, they don't have a denomination. They're angels in a sense. And it's just what we've come to call them. But you have this big affinity and connection with angels, and I'd like to talk about that. How did you come about that? How has that been helpful in your life? And, why has it been significant? How did you get to the point of working with angels?
Cynthia, I think the first thing that we have to understand is, now I'm going to use the word God, but you can also use the word source, goddess, however, Buddha. It doesn't matter. It's all one, right? It's all one energy. It's source energy. I like to use the word God because for me, I have the intention of I am one with the all that is. And that all that is, I call God. So you can call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. So if I refer to God, you can interact and put source, Buddha, whatever your higher power is. So I just wanted to put that out there because I know some people get triggered by the word God, mm-hmm. right? And that's okay. That's your thing, and that's okay. Mostly people first associate the angels with a certain religion, mm-hmm. but the angels have no religion, right? They don't come from a certain religion, and they're the only ones that can talk to the angels. Everyone can talk to angels. Everyone can talk to angels.
Yeah.
You have a guardian angel that was made just for you, right? Just for you. And they help you. And you can ask. You can ask for certain things. You can ask for things to help you with. But you also have to, it's that you have to give as well, right? And you give without resentment. You give from your heart. So in order to attract angels, this is what I found out. Now, I'm a student of Kyle Gray as well, and he talks a lot about it. He's the angel whisperer. And so my interpretation from his teachings, the first one is there's they're called the pillars, right? The 4 pillars of what attracts angels to you. The first one is your authenticity and how you view yourself in the world, coming from that heart space of love, right? From inside, being authentically you. The second one is devotion. Now, what does devotion mean? Yes, it's devotion to a higher power. Yes, that's one of them. But it's also, devotion into your mission and what you want to do in life. Your family, right? If you're devoted to your family, that is a source of devotion, right? It's, celebrating that part of something that is more than you. That's devotion, Mm-hmm. And so those things, attract the angels to us. Love. Love is such a big word for many people. We, first of all, think of a sexual love. But the love I'm talking about is the love that you love unconditionally. That means you love the person, right, or the thing, or whatever it is, without conditions attached to it. So to love unconditionally, sometimes it's hard out there to do that. Because sometimes people don't make poor choices. Mm-hmm. But to still love them even though they've made the poor choices, right? That's loving unconditionally. The next thing is service. Now, when I say service, there's so many variations of how to serve, and we all do different aspects of them. But it's giving without the need to receive anything in return, right? You're giving because you want to give. Mm-hmm. And you're giving it because you don't attach resentment to it. For instance, I'm going to give you this, but in my heart, I'm saying, well, I really don't want to give them this. So what energy are you coming from? You're not coming from the energy of giving. You're coming from the energy of resentment. And that's what you get back, right? So when you can give someone something freely without any attachments to it, no resentment, and you're just giving it from your heart, mm-hmm. That is the type of service that they're talking about. And it could be different things. It could be in your relationships, your emotions, helping others. There's so many different ways. This is just touching on the different points of them quickly. And so just to give you an aspect of how you get in touch with angels. And then, and so you got to remember that angels are the heartbeats of God, of Source, right? They come from Source, and that's where they always are, right? But they can come to us in many different forms. People get stuck up on the names of angels, mm-hmm. right? Yeah. And I think that comes from just our upbringing. Humans, we have to have a name to everything. We have to have a vision of everything, what they're supposed to look like. Well, they have no form. They're pure energy, right? They're pure source energy. So if you want to connect with them and you need a visualization, then they'll show you one, mm-hmm. right? The blonde haired, you look in all the churches and it's always this blonde haired, like 8-foot angel with their wings spread. And because that's what is fed to us and that's what we're supposed to believe. But angels will come the way you want to see them. They can come in light. They're just pillars of light, right? From source energy, pure source energy. And they're there for us, so.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that's great. And the it's funny. I had a friend years ago who, when she did yoga, and meditated, because a lot of yogas have a brief period of meditation, often at the end of the yoga class. And she started seeing these different colors of lights with her eyes were closed, and it scared her. And, I didn't know her then. She was about 17, and I didn't meet her until I think she was she was either in her 30s or 40s. And, she asked me, well, what is that light? And I said, oh, that's just your angels and your spirit guides. And she says, it scared me, so I stopped doing yoga and meditating. And I said, oh, well, maybe you want to think about starting again.
Right.
And, it's sort of the same where we look for the big signs from our loved ones. We look for the big signs from our angels where we want to see something. We want to see them. And, oftentimes it's the subtle. It's when you close your eyes when you're meditating, and it's the different colors of light that's floating, behind your eyelids. And those are your angels or your guides, and sometimes both. I use guides and angels interchangeably, even though some people might not agree with that. But I do. And my understanding from the actual difference between angels and spirit guides is angels have not actually had a physical lifetime, but spirit guides have had a physical lifetime. And so that's the differentiation, but I use them interchangeably, just like I use psychic and intuition interchangeably or together, because that I believe that we need both to work together, and same with spirit guides and angels. They can, they help us in different ways in our lives. So what, for someone who is curious about how angels could help them, or what they could ask angels to help them with, compared to maybe a spirit guide, what are some of the things that maybe somebody might go to angels for, to ask for help for?
Okay, so it depends on the person and where they're coming from. For me, I interchange my guides and my angels a lot. So I just, for angels, I use them mostly for emotions, right? So they help me with my emotions, with calming me down. They come in with pure love, and you feel it right away. The calmness comes, the anxiety will ease, and you can ask for things like that. And they're more than willing to help you, because they're right there waiting to be asked for you to come in, for them to come in. Because, they have their own code where they're not going to come in and take over your free will, because you have free will. So if you invite them in, they're willing to come, because they're right there waiting for you, right, to ask for whatever it is you need. For instance, people say, well, how do you connect? How do you do this? So you put your hand on your heart, Cynthia. Just put your hand on your heart and just say, my angels, my angels. And
my angels, my angels.
That's all you have to do, right? There's no big secret to calling in angels, right? And then for me, I do thank you, angels, for reminding me of your presence, revealing to me what I need to know. And that for me was key, what I need to know. Because sometimes what I need to know is not what I'm asking, right? And so what we need to know is different things, aspects, how to move. But I talk to them like I do my guides, and I ask them, if there's certain pieces of information I wanted to know, about different aspects of what I'm trying to understand. I'll say, okay, I don't get this. So could you please bring it to me in a form that I will understand? And either it'll show up on Facebook, it'll show up on someone talking about it on YouTube, or it'll come in a commercial. So whatever my needs are, they show up, right? And so that's how I work with my angels, right? I do pray a lot. I do pray. I do prayers in the morning, and I do prayers for in the evening. And for my prayers, it's about humanity. And I think, we ask angels for parking spots, and that's okay, because I do it all the time. My angels, my God, give me a new parking spot up front. But, you could also ask them to help with the hunger in the world. Right? You can ask your angels to help with, a situation for the highest and best good of someone. I ask for, to help with the homeless, the feeding of, all the different communities. So we can pray that way as well. It's not always about what I want. It's what I was asking for others for as well. So I try to make it equal. And so I usually don't have to ask for much. It's just given, right? It's just given because that's how it works.
Right. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And, I think, we were brought up in a time where I know in your family like mine, you were taught to give, and it was just part of the way that we were brought up. If you had saw somebody in need, if you had a neighbor or a friend and you had something that you could help them with or provide them, you just did it. And even within families where when there was something going on at somebody's house in our family, somebody needed a window put in or somebody needed a staircase moved or whatever, the whole family would show up. Yeah. And it got done, and it was the same thing in the neighborhood. And everybody sort of looked out for everybody else. And we don't see that so much anymore because there's so many people in the world now. And, life has changed in ways where we're all sitting in front of our computers. We don't have as much personal interaction, which really hit home during COVID and then has sort of in some ways continued, although it's nice to see things coming back to normal, if you will. And so, for like younger people today who maybe grew up in an environment where it just wasn't part of your family life, where it was normal to give and normal to help and, normal to reach out to the people around you. What are some of the ways maybe that you think people could be inspired when you say to give? Does it have to be a monetary thing, do you think?
No, I don't. And I think that's a lot of times what happens is people feel like that we have to do these big billboard givings, and some of us just can't, and that's okay. But, when you go into the store and you see that person reaching for something, they can't reach it. Mm-hmm. They reach it for them. Or maybe if you see someone and you can say hello. These all count, right? These are things that you're giving of yourself and you don't want anything in return. Right. So, it's the little things that add up in life. You feel better for helping someone and that person benefits, just by a smile. I was in a store one day and I just, I'm always smiling. I smile at everybody, right? And since we took our masks off, which was kind of nice. And this gentleman, older gentleman, he came up to me and he said, "Thank you." And I said, "For what?" He said, "For smiling." He said, "I go up and down these aisles all day long." He said, "And nobody will even look up and never mind smile at me." And that made my day. Yeah. So that's the type of service you can also do as well. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be, you going out and doing these major events, which are wonderful if you can. Because if you have the means, then by all means give. But it's the little things in life that you can do to help others without even realizing you're helping them. So that's what I do, Cynthia.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. It reminded me that over the weekend I was out and about, and I actually was going to a Pride festival with my daughter, and there was a homeless woman sitting on the street, and you could tell that many people passed her by without even giving a smile because, homeless come with a stigma for a lot of people, and it's uncomfortable for a lot of people to see them. They don't want to interact with them or anything. And she just happened to look up at me as I was walking past her. And I just smiled at her, and she smiled back. And I just felt like that I could feel that not a lot of people do that for her. And if I had been by myself, I probably would have sat and talked with her for a while. But I was with other people, and I have done that when I've been with other people, where I'll just stop and, talk to people. But anyway, it just struck me as her smiling give me a gift that was unexpected in some way, because it was genuine and it was so heartfelt. And it was the same for me smiling with her. I felt compassion for her as I witnessed her there. And I feel that it was the compassion that I felt for her in her situation, wherever she's in the situation she is, that came through, and then her smile brought that right back to me. And it happened in an instant, but it was so powerful.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times we become numb to things in life, right? And being able to just, you observed her as a person.
Yeah. You
gave her worth. She was worth your smile, right? And so she felt that, through the love of humanity that you have, you gave her, worth. There's so many times we just, and I understand there are panhandlers and stuff like that.
Right.
And I know sometimes it's a gimmick and whatever, but sometimes they're not. Right. And these people just want to be seen. Right. They just want to feel that they are worth, and they are. They're just as worthy as we are.
Yeah.
Right? They're just as worthy as we are. Sometimes stuff happens in life. People make different choices that maybe they could have changed, but they didn't. Maybe they didn't know any better. Whatever the circumstance it was, we're not supposed to judge them. Right? But we can hold love for them. Right. We can hold compassion for them. We can show them that they're still worthy of whatever it is they feel they are, and they are worthy. Yeah. So, that makes perfect sense. And that's a way to serve, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And all that contained in just a little smile.
Yeah.
Just a little smile.
It's amazing what a smile can do, and just a hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I can remember that when my husband was alive, his biggest thing was, my husband was a man of color, and his biggest thing was when he walked by someone, he allowed them to acknowledge him. And if they didn't acknowledge him with a simple hello, he made sure that he said hello to them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we don't know whether to say hello to one another because we think we're disturbing someone or we're in their space or whatever it is. But next time, as you walk by someone, a simple hi, and keep going, right?
Yeah.
Just acknowledging that person as another person. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. In some cultures, they nod.
Yes.
That's the way that they greet each other, is they nod. And sometimes even that could be enough, until you build up your confidence enough to just say hi to a stranger or whatever. I make a point that when I'm out for a walk or whatever, I always say hi to people that I pass by. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't, but that's okay. And oftentimes I find people will stop and they'll want to talk. I'm one of those people like you who once you say hello to someone, they just want to talk because we have this signature in our energy field, that we're light workers. And so people might not understand that on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, it registers. And so then, people just want to share whatever their life story or their woes are and just be heard and seen. And I know that happens to you as well. And sometimes that can get heavy, when you talk to so many people. And I know for me, then I sometimes will say to the angels, hey, I've got a pretty heavy load. I've had some pretty intense clients that have some pretty intense things going on. Would you help me with this? Is that something that you find yourself that you do as well?
Oh, yes, very often, Cynthia. And it's just because it's just energetic cords that you just connect with another person with, and you don't need to carry those around. Yeah. And so when it's really heavy, I bring in the violet flame. Mm-hmm. I ask Archangel Michael and Lady Portia, Lady Amethyst to just, douse me into the violet flame, transmuting anything that I picked up, any negativity, and then boost my energy up. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that works. or else I'll just ask to cut, Archangel Michael, just come in here, cut the cords. You have to do some kind of energy clearing, energy cleaning up, before the day starts, after the day starts for me, because I do talk to a lot of people. And when I was a hairdresser, it was quite intense because people sit down and I don't know about you, but if you've ever gone to a stylist and you just dump whatever's bothering you for the day. And at the end of the day, that stylist is dragging. And so, you have to make sure that your energy stays clean so that you stay clear, and there are little ways to do that. And you have wonderful classes that teach them all to do that kind of stuff. Cynthia, I've taken so many, and there's so many different ways. And so, I urge you all, to look towards that, to see how there's ways. If you're feeling sluggish, you're feeling tired, sometimes it's just you picked up a lot of energy that throughout the day, and it could just be you walked through it and picked it up. Some people, they have that tendency to do that. Somebody just had a fight and that energy is still in the air, it's still in the environment, and they walk through it, or they're in the middle of listening to someone else fight, or someone else in the other apartment's having an argument. Well, you tend to absorb all that, and that stays with you, right? Yeah. My children, when they come to visit, I don't allow any kind of violence on the TV or any of those negative stories or anything like that. So they can watch Hallmark, they can watch Disney, and that type of thing. And so they look at me like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, because let's keep the energy in my house clear. Yeah. Because you bring that stuff right through, and I don't like it, and it's murky in here, and it's not for me. So if you want to watch TV, you can watch something, but it's not going to be anything that I feel that, no shootings, no killings. So they're pretty limited. Sure. You can tell they don't come that often, huh?
That's so funny. Well, I haven't watched regular TV in decades, actually. And even when, I was married, and I've been single since 99. So that's been a minute. My then husband would be like, you should really, know what's going on and watch the news and keep up with. And I would say to him, if there's anything important that I need to know, it's always brought to my attention. I don't need to be inputting that, into my energy field so much. I do sort of keep up a little bit more now with things that are important to me, but I don't watch the news. I don't watch regular TV. And as far as like movies and things like that, or Netflix, I pick select, I love Bridgerton.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do too.
Bridgerton and things like that. I do love Marvel, anything Marvel comics, I have to say.
Yeah, I'm just talking about like the kids, they watch all the vampire movies.
Yes.
Watch all the killing shows.
Yes.
Like, no. Yeah. And it's funny because my son comes to visit, a couple of times a year, whatever he comes, and he's more often now that since Will has passed. But he said, I always get the best night's sleep here. He said, your house is so peaceful. I said, yes, I know that. And we're going to keep it that way. That's why you're not going to use the TV the way you want to.
Right.
So it makes a difference. Other people will feel the difference as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because I think your son has started a bit of a spiritual journey. So it's very interesting to me that he has picked up on that. Yes. I have somebody that I work with who they like those kind of really horror movies and horror things. Yes. and whatnot. And one time she was like, you have to watch this. You're going to get so much value out of it. And da da da. So I'm watching this movie and I kept waiting for the value to show up. And I was absolutely horrified. By the time I was horrified before the movie finished, but by the time the movie ended, I was absolutely horrified. And, and I said to this person, I said, do you have a lot of things going on in your house and in your family? And this contributes to it. These are the kind of things you're watching in your household. And that's the energy that you're inviting into your household and your family. And I don't want to get too much into that conversation today about, because there's always there has to be balance. So as much as there is the light with the angels and the guardians and all that, the flip side of it, there's the dark side of things as well.
Yes.
And so, but I don't want to talk too much about that today.
No, we won't get into that.
Yeah, we won't get into that today because we could go down a rabbit hole with that for sure.
Yes, definitely. But, I think people need to understand that we have been, people get so hung up with the angels or what they look like, what their names are. That was a big thing. I was talking to someone and they knew their names and they knew that. And I said, well, that's wonderful. I don't know any of my angels' names and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because for me, the angels, I understand they're different angels and they do different things.
Yeah.
And so angel names are usually, if they give you a name, you look it up because that's usually the essence of what they're going to work with you for.
Yes.
All right. So, right. And so that's how I look at it. Like Jophiel is, she is the angel of the beauty of God. So what does that mean? So what do I need? Maybe I need more self-care. Maybe I need to start feeling beautiful. And maybe I need to take care of myself better. Right. So she'll come around and, and that's how I will work with her. Mm-hmm. Angels do not have a sex. But it's what you choose for that energy to be, right? If for me it was feminine, I felt the feminine, so that's what I will go with. Sometimes they're very masculine energies, but for me, that's what I needed to feel, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of time, Gabriel comes in as a masculine energy for people. For me, it's a feminine energy. So it all depends on you, right? It doesn't matter what it comes in for me. It comes in for you. It will be different. Because that's what you're looking for. That's what they're going to meet you at your needs, right? Michael, it's Michael. That's the angel of protection, right? So whenever we're like in fear or feel like we need protection, that's who we call upon. And that's been through the ages. There are not many angels, mentioned in the Bible. And do you realize that it wasn't, I think, until I forgot this century, that the archangels, or the 5th and 6th century, that the archangels wasn't even, the word archangel wasn't even adopted into the doctrine of the church, into the Old Testament, until probably the 5th and 6th century, because that's when they decided, they adopted the word archangel, and then they started putting them in categories. How I look at angels is this way. Just like anything else that is energy, right? There are different levels of energy that will help you with different things that you need, right? There are angels that hold space for the world. There are angels that are galactic angels. There are work angels that will rush to the aid of people that are in need. People that catastrophic, traumas that have happened around the world. So there's so much angelic energy out there. It's how we tune into what is right for me, right? What is right for you. So if it filters down into probably to your guardian angel, because if you think about, if I'm trying to talk to a really high energy angel, that's a lot of energy for my physical body to be able to absorb and burn me right out. I'd be a little crispy, right?
Yes.
So I need, right? Think about it.
Yeah.
If you think about it that way, here you're talking to like someone that's holding up the world. And then that's cool, because yes, if you ask them a question, the answer will get filtered down to you, and it's probably your guardian angel that will give it to you, or one of your guides, because physically we can't hold that much energy, because it just wouldn't happen. Our physical bodies can't do it. And so the energy comes down through the layers of the energetic field to get to you, to give you the answer that you're looking for. That's how I look at the angel's energy. I'm asking, questions that maybe are a higher realm that maybe my guardian angel needs to go and get the answers for. I don't know how it works. I don't really care how it works.
Right.
I just know the answers come to me.
Right.
And that's how I deal with the angels.
Right. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's really wonderful. And yeah, it would be like, plugging plugging your hair dryer into a 220 volt outlet that's meant to, run an air that's meant to run a big generator or something, right? It would
exactly.
It would not work. It would be too much energy in the circuit. And yeah, I agree with I loved how you explained it, because I feel like a lot of people will be able to really resonate with that, and it will make sense where, when you have this energy that's so big, it would be difficult to connect in with that directly. And so it filters through our channels of our own angels and guardian angel or spirit guides and so forth. So I really like that a lot. And so for someone who is curious or interested about angels and wants to know more about them or wants to work with them, what's a way that somebody could do that? I know you mentioned a couple of archangels, and I know also that you love oracle cards. And
yes.
for someone who is wanting to get to know their angels or want to know more about angels or work with them, is that something that you would recommend? Is that a good place to start?
Absolutely. I would start working with your guardian angel. Get to know who they are. My guardian angels go shopping with me. I say, hey, I'm looking for this. When it shows up, could you find it for me? And so they like to be invited in. So I, invite them in just like there was a person, right? And just ask with them, talk with them and see how they work with you. Me, it's feeling, it's emotions, seeing, understanding, so they'll work with whatever aspect I'm working with that day. Because some days my clairvoyance is off the, it's not working. Mm-hmm. Some days my knowing's really like on key. And so they'll come in that way. So you got to know your clairs first, right? Mm-hmm. And that helps. But if you don't know your clairs, Cynthia has beautiful classes that will teach you.
Oh, thank you.
That's how I learned. But also you can just ask how they can help you, mm-hmm. and to show you how they're going to work with you. And you might all of a sudden see a color, and this mm-hmm. color keeps showing up, and you're wondering, what's that color? Oh, that color is violet. Oh, well, maybe that's the frequency my guardian angel's coming in at, and they want me to go look up what that violet means and how I can visualize it or connect with it. Feel it in your heart. That's where the angels live, right? In your heart. Right. So there are many things. Oracle cards, yes. I do a lot of angel, like I said, I'm a student of Kyle Gray's, and mm-hmm. I take his angel courses, and they are wonderful. There are many other oracle cards out there. You have to see which one resonates with you. Mm-hmm. I like different cards for different things. Mm-hmm. And you can ask them to please show me, get an angel deck and say, please show me what my angel looks like. Right. Please help me to understand how I better connect with my angel. Right. So don't be afraid to ask, because once you ask and you take that step forward, then they're like, oh yeah, she's ready. She wants to come. Okay, come on, let's go. Let's start this journey together. And so it's very easy because the angels are right there. They're right there for you, and they're willing to help you any step of the way, whatever your needs are. And I just learned last night, because I was on a call, and someone mentioned Archangel Metatron, actually one of the teachers, and it was very interesting because I know, Cynthia, you have a great affinity with Archangel Metatron.
I do.
And so, he is one of the newer angels, right? And so he comes in for the people of the now, the children of the now, right? His job he's taken on is to help the children of the now, the new generation, because so many of the children are suffering through anxiety, mm-hmm. going through COVID and all these other things that they're having to deal with, a world that I didn't grow up in. Mm-hmm. When I left school, and I didn't have people on social media, making fun of me or anything like that. So the kids deal with a lot more And so Archangel Metatron is now coming in for the children of the now to help them with some of their anxiety, all of that. And so if that is part of your life, maybe, ask for some guidance from him, and I'm sure he will definitely give it to you. So there are many angels that do different things. I don't know all the different ins and outs of the different angels because that's not in my wheelhouse to learn. I just, I'll learn them and then I forget. Right. So what I do is I'll just put a disclaimer out, basically, and I'll say, okay, I'd like to know about this. I need help with this. I want to do this to better serve. Please show me how to do it. And whatever angel needs to come to help me, I am open to receiving the information. And if I'm having like a problem with relationship, either it's a friendship, whatever, sometimes we miscommunicate, I'll call in the angels of harmony, right? And I know they have specific names, but for me, I'll just ask the angels of harmony to send some love to the relationship for the highest and best good and see where it flows. And then be willing to accept what happens, Right. I think that's key. You ask for help, and sometimes it might not be exactly as you think it should be, but always for the highest good of all. And sometimes we just have to accept that's how it should be. So it's called total surrender, which is another whole class at the end. It's the hardest thing to do. Radical acceptance.
Yeah, for sure. That is one of the hardest things to do. And, I love that you put out to just call the angels of harmony. And because sometimes, as is above, so is below. Just like, sometimes we're busy down here and we might not be able to help a person with a certain request. Well, the angels might be busy with something else too. So if you ask for a specific one, they might not be available. But if you ask for general, the angels of harmony, then whoever's available can come in. So I really like that. That makes a lot of sense to me, and it gives you a better opportunity for somebody to show up because somebody will be available.
Oh, there's always someone available. There's even your guardian angel. They're 24/7. But like sometimes people want to be so specific.
Yes.
If you want to be so specific, that's wonderful. If that's your thing, then go research the angel that you want to, call in. If there's a certain thing you want and there's a certain name you want, then go research and make sure that's who you want to call in. If not, and you just want an angel to help you, they are more than willing to help you and come in and help. It doesn't have to be a specific one. That's what I guess I'm trying to say.
Yeah, beautiful. So let me ask you, this question just sort of popped into my head. And this is, about you. How and why did you become so attracted to the color purple?
Well, that's a good question. I'm still trying to figure that one out, but for some reason, even the back of my hair is purple.
Yeah.
And I think it's from the Violet People of the Light. That's who I think I'm part of whatever regime they are. And that's, plus the purple, the violet flame. I love to work with the violet flame. And so that just reminds me, to keep my vibration high. Yeah. Because the violet light is a very high vibration of light. And so remembering that, it's a constant reminder to keep upbeat, to not get back into that, sludgery and depression, to come forward and to bring forth more light. And how I can do that is by being more uplifting, getting all the knowledge that I've learned and bringing it out somehow.
Yeah, beautiful. That's really beautiful. But I think, is it true, though, that you were already into purple long before you started studying angels? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So would you say that maybe you were unaware that that they were trying to get your attention?
Yeah.
In a way?
Very much so.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. If you start seeing a certain color, or
right.
you start seeing certain numbers or whatever, they're trying to like a knock on the door that you're not hearing. And it's like, hey, I'm here. Let's work together. Let's see what else we can learn.
Right.
And so, yes, very much so, Cynthia. Yes, my hair has been purple for a long time. It was,
yes.
Fashionable.
Yes.
Let's say.
Yeah. I love that. Well, Jeannie, we are at the top of the hour. We could talk for hours and hours and probably days nonstop. But I want to thank you so much for being here. And thank you for all the work that you do in the world. And congratulations, on your success as an author and as an artist. And I know that you're talking about maybe doing a positive affirmation deck. Using some of your artwork.
Yeah, very much so. It's starting to form.
Nice.
I told my guides and my angels that I'm I'm going on a mini vacation this summer. I don't want to work too hard. I want to enjoy the summer because, as you know, up in New England, we don't get summer for very long.
No, we don't.
I'm a sun person. I like to be out in the pool. I like to be out in the yard. And so I told them, I think in the fall, I'd like to bring some kind of affirmation deck out using my artwork. And so I don't know how that's going to unfold yet, but that's the thing with how I work with my angels, is I ask them for things, and if it's for the highest and best good for me to do this, that people will get benefit from it. Then show me how to do it. And basically it'll start to unfold little at a time, and then I can just bring it forward. Like when I wrote my first book, that's how that happened. I knew a book had to be written. I knew something, and all the proceeds to that book go to a charity. Usually whatever charity of the month it is that day. So, yes. So, beautiful. I'm thinking about that, and it's in the works.
Beautiful. And you said something really important that I want the listeners to, if in case they didn't catch or pick up on it. You said something really important there, was that what they wanted you to bring forward, show you what they wanted you to bring forward. And so, it's not where we just sit back and say, okay, angels, feed the world. Okay, angels, drop $1 million in my lap. Okay, angels, make this happen. It's show me what I need to do, right? So it's like we have to participate in our own lives and not just expect the spirit world to just do everything and bring everything that we need. They can bring things in a different way and show us things, but then we have to take the action. We have to take the action.
We're co-creating, right? That's what it's all about.
Co-creating.
And so I think a lot of times people miss the co-part.
Right.
Co-creating, right?
Right.
They just figure the angels or, whatever you're
going to take care of it.
Show up at your door. No, you've got to co-create. You've got to do your part too.
Right. Yeah, and then they say, well, I did a vision board, or I asked the angels and I did this but it didn't happen. Well, what part did you participate in? So I think that's really important because it, I hear that off and on, that people might say, well, I did everything that I was supposed to do. I did the law of attraction, or I asked the angels, but then they just sat back, and when the signs came, when the opportunities showed up, they didn't take advantage of them. And so we work in a co-creative, co-collaborative process with the spirit world, with the angels, and that's how our lives work the best. And whether you call them angels or guardians or saints or light beings, whatever it is, there's many names that can apply, just like there's many names that apply to the omnipresence, whether, again, as you said earlier, God or a Buddha or Allah, or, there's many names, but it's all source energy. It's all source energy. And the angelic realm is just part of that source energy. And so thank you so much for bringing all the valuable stories and information that you shared. And I hope that people really get a lot of benefit from knowing that, hey, you can talk to angels. Everybody can talk to angels. And,
absolutely.
Yeah. And the best place for people to find you, I know you have a big Instagram presence.
Thank you. That's pretty much it. My Facebook I am on Facebook, but I don't, it's kind of private.
Okay.
I just keep it, for classes and whatever, but mostly I'm on Instagram. That's about it right now.
Okay, great. And on Instagram, is it just at Jeanne Bundy?
Yes.
Great.
Jeanne.Bundy, yeah.
Jeanne.Bundy. Okay, super. And I'll have that information in the show notes as well, with your Instagram handle, so people can follow you there. And please, go on Amazon, purchase Jeanne's book. Like I said, I give the book out to clients and to friends or people that I might talk with, because the book is so genuinely helpful. So if you have someone, or if you're going through grief yourself, I really encourage you to go on Amazon and get the book. You could actually go to my website, CynthiaFontaine.com, to the resource pages, and the link is right there to Jeanne's book, I believe. I will double check with my team, but I'm pretty sure the link is right on my website.
Thank you.
Oh, definitely. You're welcome. The book I have found has helped so many of my clients and myself, and I know that it helps a lot of people, and you're so generous with your time in writing the book and producing the book and getting it out there, because books cost money to get out into the world, and yet you take the profit and you donate that, so it helps in so many different ways that I really like to support it. And then the Ignite Faith book is also available on Amazon, where Jeanne was a contributor to that book. You can find that book on Amazon as well. Jeanne, do you have an author page on Amazon?
I do have an author's page on Amazon. Okay. It has to be updated, now that I did the other book. But yes, there is an author's page. So if you want to follow me, I am on Amazon.
Great.
On the author's page.
Yeah, so please go follow Jeanne on Instagram, follow her on Amazon, because you are not going to want to miss that affirmation deck when it comes out. So hopefully when this show will air about midsummer here in the Northern Hemisphere. And then hopefully not too soon after that, we'll have more news about Jeanne's deck. So thank you again, Jeanne, so much. It's been a pleasure and a delight being here with you today and having you as part of my life. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Cynthia. I appreciate you and all your listeners. Thank you for listening to me, and hopefully whatever I've said, it's just just one piece of information. Just remember, the angels are there for you. God bless.
Thank you, Jeanne.
This podcast was produced by Alchemy of the Earth Inc. at CynthiaFontaine.com. Producer Elise Spizak, Media Relations LJ Rank, Director Ryan Fontaine, and Sound Engineer David Breton. Please subscribe to patreon.com/boldlyauthentic for exclusive membership bonuses.